Welcome to the Grampians Wine Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Butler. In each episode of the podcast, we speak to a representative of the Grampians winemakers or one of the wineries in the region. We'll learn about the wines, the wineries, and of course, the personalities associated with one of Victoria's leading wine regions. On today's episode, we speak to Tom Guthrie, the winemaker and owner at Grampians Estate located in Great Western. Welcome, Tom.
Hello, Neil. Absolute pleasure to be here.
And great to have you here on board. Tell us a little bit about your winery, where we'll find it, and the varieties that you produce.
We're sort of a split operation. We have a cellar door at Great Western, 1 kilometre from Great Western on the Melbourne side, on the Western Highway. So that, for those who don't know, the Western Highway is the Melbourne to Adelaide drag, and it's a pretty major road. As we say, you can't miss us if you're driving down that road.
Yes, I know exactly the spot.
Yep, we've got a cellar door with a brand new winery cafe extension, and we offer, apart from tasting all our wonderful wines, we have a lunch menu, which means you can stay a bit longer. On that site, we have 12 acres of Riesling and Shiraz vines. The oldest being planted in 1878, so they're quite historic. And then our winery and second vineyard is at a little place called Mafeking, which is between Moyston and Dunkeld. That's our home. That's where we first got into wine by planting, what have we got there? 8 acres of Chardonnay and Shiraz grapes. And that was way back in 1989. We started off on this little venture as a side interest to our main game, which is sheep farming.
Okay, so we've spoken to a few people who have got other things happening, and wine has kind of taken over. How much do you produce in wine each year?
Yeah, well, this year we had the biggest vintage for us we've ever had, and that was 50 tonnes. Now,
wow.
With that sort of volume, so you're looking at maybe 3,000 cases, but we're very much in the small winery category, or the boutique winery category, as some people would call it. If you look at Bess, you know, they're producing 750 tonnes. So 50
Yes.
tonnes is definitely in the small category. But what we lack in quality, we hope we make up, in quantity, we hope we make up in quality. And like many of the wineries in this region, we have a James Halliday 5 Red Star rating, which puts us in the top 8% of wineries in Australia.
Okay. So what is it about the region that makes this such a great place to grow grapes and make wine?
I think we're just very lucky that we live in an area which has great climate, particularly for Shiraz, but it's also the rainfall and the temperature. If you go further south, you have a climate which is too cool to ripen Shiraz in your average season, and you go north of us and it's too hot, and so your ripening periods are too short. So we just have this ideal mix, and I was lucky enough to come to this region 40 odd years ago and had this idea to grow grapes. And it was just luck, I guess, that I've lobbed in an area that has a great history of quality wine production, and is one of the best cool climate Shiraz regions across Australia.
So we obviously hope that we're going to have some tourists or potential tourists watching and listening to this podcast. Why should people come to the Grampians wine region? There's lots of other ones to choose from. Why come up and see you guys?
Well, apart from having the best cool climate Shiraz in Australia, some would say in the world, but we have a range of varieties that we produce. So not only do we have Shiraz, but we do sparkling Shiraz is certainly one of our flag bearer wines. But wineries are getting into other varieties, like we do Grenache, Tempranillo, Riesling, Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, and as it's been proven, our great climate and soils are doing a great job with those varieties as well. And of course, a feature of coming to visit this region, apart from the wineries, is the magnificent Grampians National Park. And it's certainly a feature that you can see whenever you're in the region. We have Mount William, which is 4,000 feet above sea level, and the whole heap of fantastic walks in the park. And later this year, or early next year, they're opening an icon walk, which will allow you to walk from the northern end of the Grampians to the southern end over a period of 9 or 10 days. So
Wow.
I guess that's the primary feature, but certainly food and wine is a great part of the Grampian story.
I think if I had the choice of walking across the Grampians for 10 days or driving and visiting wineries, I think I know which I'd choose, because I'm a bit lazy like that. What does your winery look like in 5 years from now, do you reckon?
Well, I know the winemaker will be 5 years older.
He'll be reaching his mid-30s.
Yeah, that's right, somewhere about there.
Yeah.
I know we like looking forward and not back. And actually, just this morning, I was deep ripping a new block of vineyard area to plant Grenache and Tempranillo. So hopefully in 5 years' time, those particular varieties will be on stream and we'll be producing more Grenache and Tempranillo to go with our range. I mean, we already have it, but we buy small amounts from a local vineyard, and he can't keep up with our demand for these two varieties. So I'm hoping in 5 years' time, not only will we have those varieties on track, I'm just finishing a winemaking degree at Charles Stuart University. So I'll actually be a qualified winemaker, hopefully by the end of the year. I'm a bit on the older age of the average age of students there. In my class at Wagga, I am the only student who has both a student card and a seniors card.
Yeah, well, that's a good combo, I would have thought. It's nothing like, taking your time to find the right course for you over the journey, is there?
Well, so that's right. I mean, I've been a sheep farmer all my life, and it's time to be reincarnated as a winemaker and let someone else do the sheep for a change.
Sounds like a plan to me. Well, we'd like to get to know you a little bit as well. How long have you lived and worked in the Grampians wine region, both in terms of your sheep farming as well as your winemaking?
Yeah, I came down here in 1980 to run one of our two family sheep farms, and I grew up at Donald, and mum and dad were up there, and mum and dad had two sons and had two sheep farms, and luckily I came down to this one because it rains a lot more around the Grampians than it does at Donald, and it's certainly an easier job running sheep and running a farm business. So most of my skills revolve around sheep, and this was partly a hobby and at the time a diversification of a sheep business. In the 1990s, the sheep industry went through 10 years of the wool stockpile, and basically we needed to find another avenue to make an income. And being a good consumer of this product, I thought, well, why not get at the other end and be a producer? Cut
out the middleman, just make your own. That's the spirit.
That's right. And,
so, if you're going on a road trip and you can only take one case of Grampians Estate wine with you, what are you taking with you?
A very big one. And well, I guess I would take a mixed dozen because
yes, sit on the fence. That's the way.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, you start loading it with our top end Shiraz and some sparkling Shiraz, but Yeah, I'd throw in a bottle of Riesling and a bottle of the GST. That's an interesting one because the GST is a Grenache Shiraz Tempranillo blend.
Yep.
So it's predominantly Grenache, but it's a lighter style wine. So on a sort of lovely wine to have at lunchtime.
Okay.
You can have a glass or two of that and you don't need a 1 hour sleep after lunch.
Oh, I'd find a way.
But the GST, having a wine called the GST gives us the opportunity to have a tagline, which is that it's got 10% more flavour.
Excellent. Or if you don't need to sleep afterwards, it's not too taxing.
Very good. I haven't used that one.
Well, you can have that at no cost. There you go.
That's right. So look, the Riesling comes in handy if you're eating fish or those oysters or prawns down by the seaside. It's a cold night, you pull out the reds, whatever. So we've got all bases covered, I think.
Okay, so choose one bottle out of that mixed case, and what's the meal you're going to have with that bottle?
Okay, well, it would have to be our Reserve Shiraz, the Streeton Reserve Shiraz, preferably with a few years age on it because they're made for cellaring. So optimum 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
And I would have roast lamb.
Okay.
Cooked by your wife.
Sarah's just piped up, cooked beautifully by my partner, business partner and wife partner. Yeah, the perfect match is Grampians Shiraz and roast lamb.
Excellent. Now, if you were taking that roast lamb and your bottle of Shiraz with you, where is the favourite location to eat and drink that meal?
Well, we have a soft spot for Broome. Now, it's a long way to take your roast lamb and your bottle of Streeton.
You're cold by the time you got there.
That's right. But I can't think of many more beautiful places apart from the top of Mount William out the back door. But watching the sunset at Broome is one of those really special experiences that we're about to do again in 1 week's time.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I now need to know, you're in Broome, you've got the roast lamb, you've got the Shiraz. What music are you playing to accompany that meal?
Well, if you're in Broome, the local legends there are the Pigram brothers. And there was a film called Brand New Day, which is sort of, in some ways, like The Castle. It's Australian humour at its absolute best, but it's, it's sort of an Australian version of the Blues Brothers because it's comedy, it's a story, and it's got fantastic music. You can't go to Broome and not think of some of their music. Just fantastic. If anyone hasn't seen that movie, you should.
Yeah, do yourself a favour. There's my Molly Meldrum moment for the day. And 3 people that, living or dead, who you'd want to share that meal and wine with.
Well, that's a good question. 3 people I'd share that meal with. I hadn't researched that one. Probably Polly Farmer, who's as a Geelong supporter from way back. For a long time, he for 43 years, he was the last Geelong captain to win a Geelong premiership until we had a bit of success in recent times. That's number 1. Number 2 would be, and 3 would probably be the Blues Brothers, because I have a soft spot for the Blues Brothers, and we could play their music
and a very brave man for having someone in the background doing some cleaning and washing and getting lunch or dinner or something ready in the background, and you didn't name her. Well, that's brave, if nothing else.
I would take Sarah with me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, okay. So we'll let you have a 4th one on that basis. Before we finish, can you, again, just remind us where we'll find you, your cellar door hours, website, and your social media, please?
Of course, you can find everything if you Google Grampians Estate, and it will come up on the website. And any information that you forget from me or from Neil or from this show, just go to the website, because that is the number one place for all information. But if you're still listening, we're open. COVID has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, but we're normally open 10 till 5 every day of the year except Christmas Day. So that's your starting point. We're on the Western Highway, just near. If you get to Great Western and you're in the township of Great Western, you're only 1 kilometre away. We're on the Western Highway. So you've either gone past it or you're about to go past it, because it's very easy to find.
On the Melbourne side of Great Western.
On the Melbourne side of Great Western, and right there on the highway, with the vineyards also right there on the highway. As they say, you can't miss it. Now, the social media, you've got me there. You'll have to go on the website to get the Facebook and all those things. When it comes to those things, it's my daughter Pollyanna who's in charge, and she'd be able to reel it off. But
sounds good to me.
Just go to the website. Best place to go, and we can even we've got good coffee, good food, and brilliant wine.
Well, it sounds like a very good combination to me. Tom, thanks for joining us today on the Grampians Wine Podcast.
Thanks, Neil. And remember, the Grampians region is a fantastic place to visit, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers.
This has been another episode of the Grampians Wine Podcast featuring Tom Guthrie from Grampians Estate. You can subscribe to the podcast by visiting grampianswinepodcast.com.au. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but it will give you the chance to listen to previous episodes and to be reminded whenever we publish another episode. You can watch video versions of the podcast by subscribing to the Grampians Wine YouTube channel. We'll be back soon with another episode. My name is Neil Butler. I look forward to your company then. Cheers.